And we have snow.
Shriek when a mouse comes out.
No, well, I think she likes the mouse.
Well, that's this Sawhill come in here. That one mother works with us. One of the others was sitting over here on this chair. And Mom was sitting there. I was in the living room. All at once that woman gave the guts and screamed out a human being ever heard. I thought she'd have that looking fit. I thought like Tony Capaldi just really took that looking fit. I come running in here and that cat walked around in the corner. She's afraid of that cat.
I have had people who are afraid of cats.
Oh, I mean, she had mortal fears. She wouldn't even want to come back in the house. And Mother said, "Get that damn cat out of here." I said, "Let the woman stay out."
Yeah. I in Mount Vernon, I had this half-grown cat, and I got out, and the lady was pumping the gas. Says, "Oh, you got a cat?" And I started to her, and she went, "Oh my God, don't bring it over here." I said, "I'm sorry." They're terrified.
Well, when we lived up there at Cherry Valley in Butler County, and John Watson stayed up after he had that wreck and got back to working on the driver's license. Him and I was leaving in that panel truck of mine, and we started down the driveway from the house at night, and something in that truck, I had to open the hood. I don't remember what for. And so we got up and walked up front. And we're getting up front, that son of a bitch that out screaming, almost jumped on my goddamn lap, getting up on front of that truck. There's a goddamn rat come across it. Well, the first man I ever saw was afraid of a rat. I'm never afraid of the damn rat. They don't get around me because I'll kill them on me, and I hate them.
Arch Moore and a black man from Atlasburg were driving along together in the black man's car, and a bumblebee came in the window, and that guy got over on Arch's lap.
Is that George?
Yeah, that's exactly who it was. Emmett, the boy, George's boy.
Yeah. Well, when he used to come up there and went in the orchard up there, Scott Farm, Archie hauled a snake this day, and that son of a bitch like went up a tree on me. Don't you ever do that to me again. It wasn't 30 seconds till Archie did it to me again. He jumped just the same. He dealt me for snakes, obviously.
Well, we got this thing going, so I guess we better do what we started.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
what exactly did you have in mind to do?
Well, I know what Jimmy wants.
Yeah, okay,
he wants to know the background to this. And of course, we've got more information. Where was that card that you had on there where you moved from, the names of the towns?
Yeah. I think I put it back in there. Yeah.
Just read that with you.
The one I misread that name of town.
Yeah. You were on the Siegfried line.
Yeah. At Winterspelt.
Yeah.
On the Siegfried line.
Yeah.
What's close to Luxembourg. I'm almost positive, but we stayed stationed there, and there was nobody to come bring you any information. It's hard to verify, but I believe it mentions it in this literature here in the book.
Yeah.
Verified now.
Okay.
Or on that map. On the map, obviously.
And it's like Winterspelt?
Yeah, Winterspelt.
Spelt.
S-P-E-L-T.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And that was on the Siegfried line, and we moved to Sauerbraut.
Well, do you have any idea what date that was?
Yeah, that was December 16th we left.
Oh, this all happened in that
we moved
2 days
all
time?
Day on the 16th and up into the night, and that's when we went up into Hansfeld on the night of the 16th, which would really be the early morning hours of the 17th. And that's where we took off Waterloo.
And when you say we, who was it, Sam? How many divisions?
There was 2 platoons of B Company and 1 platoon of a reconnaissance company, which was mentioned by name in that book. I didn't know that reconnaissance company because we was with a strange outfit. Everything was working against it could be. We had our own reconnaissance outfit, but that's not the one who was with it, and I have no idea why. But to see the little dog's not in on the planning, unfortunately.
Yeah. So you got orders to march or move.
We got orders.
You were on wheels. You were motorized.
Yeah, we had a towed gun that we had dug in on a hill overlooking the Siegfried line in around this town of Winterspelt.
Okay.
And we sat there from. We was there on Thanksgiving,
Oh, you were?
We were there on Thanksgiving because we walked back and got hot meals. You know, everybody in the country got a hot meal on Thanksgiving. That would have been 44, yeah.
Yeah.
And then this order to move just came suddenly out of a clear blue sky. Well, we found out that the Germans had started a counterattack after the fact. We had no idea why we were moving. We moved often, I mean, but, you know, with little plans and everything. But this time we moved, and everybody had the sense all the way that something wasn't kosher. It just was unlikely for us to make that type of a march.
And you think you were coming from the direction of Luxembourg?
Oh yeah, I'm sure we were.
Well, then if you were on that tape that you saw here that Jimmy took,
yeah.
That place that you thought was it was the first places we came to from Luxembourg.
Well, I have down at the garage, I told you I would draw a little map, just a rough sketch of the first part of Wintersville, which was the part that we entered. And I had it on that little notebook, and it was this little gum page, you know, and Donna tore it out, and it was stuck on that paper. It was in the wastebasket. Well, I laid that damn thing out down at the garage. I didn't throw it in the fire with the rest of it. And I was almost sure that that could have been the place. But like I say, the house I was in had to have been rebuilt.
Well,
because it was a stucco type.
Yeah.
House.
Like most of those houses over there are covered with that something like.
Yeah, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I could like class it with a stucco. And then we moved to Sauerbraut, Belgium, and Hofen, Belgium. And at Hofen, Belgium, we were firing on Rohren, Germany. We was firing over a border, obviously, into Germany, but we didn't know it at the time we was firing into another country. I mean, they don't tell you. You know, it don't tell you. And on December 16th, or early morning, December 17th, is when we went into Hansfeld with the orders to bed down, and we were way behind the lines, and the next morning reconnaissance would go out, and we would reconnoiter positions for the following action was to take place. You know. Didn't have to do that latter part.
And you were already within the German.
The Germans were behind us because, like I say, as we was advancing into Hansfeld, for I don't know how many miles before we went, everything we met was running wild, going the opposite direction.
You're talking about American stuff.
Talking about American
They
stuff.
were getting the hell out of there.
In disarray. But nobody would tell us. And there was one combat MP which, when you're making a big move, they post them at every intersection to guide you. You know,
Yeah.
especially at night because you can't use lights.
Yeah.
And there was one, and the outfit wouldn't stop. Our outfit wouldn't stop. And this one guy hollered. He tells in that tape, what in the hell's going on? And he said, hell, I don't know. He said, you're the only outfit going that way. Well, we had sensed that for quite a ways, you know, and then when I was on guard, I would have to assume it was between 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. Although at the time being this many years, I don't remember exactly. But like I say, I did hear, we was back far enough off the street, and what was moving, they told us the Americans would be moving out, that we was going to replace. They did tell us that, yeah. Captain Kennedy's one told us this. And just to bed down, put a guard in the front door and the back door, and we'd go out in the morning.
Oh, so that's how you got into this place.
Yeah, he said this house was originally pre-selected, I suppose, because he took us right into it and put some of the others right across the street and one over there.
Any theory about how many people were in your side?
There was 10, probably 20.
Okay.
I would imagine altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we had 3 officers in the house with us, which none of these other fellows talked about the meeting that they had that morning after we saw the German tank was sitting right at the first house on the street, going in the same direction we come into town from. And it had its gun with their equipment, 88 millimeter, pointed right smack dab at the house we was in. And there, right on the ground at the corner of that same house, right by the street, was a tripod-mounted machine gun, and there was German infantry just at every building, every opening, every fence. I mean, just you know, it's all a wall of them. And so these officers said, for an old strategy meeting, of course Captain Kennedy was long gone, and they said, you know, we didn't train to surrender because one lieutenant said it's a hopeless situation, which it was. I mean, that was obvious to anyone. He said, we trained to fight. So he said, but anybody that wants to surrender is free to do it at this time. Because he said, we're going to put every man on his own. That's time for everybody on his own. And all the officers went out with the white flag off of Homer Reed's neck, where they got the white flag was tied on the gun he took. He always wore a white handkerchief. Well, had been white at one time, you know. Yeah. But why the officers didn't all get killed, I do not know. I just can't tell you. Yeah.
They walked out with a white flag.
They walked out with a white flag, and the door was at the far end of the building from the street.
Mm-hmm.
And they walked out that door, and the shooting stopped. As soon as they put out the white flag in the end of the gun and waved it. And they all marched out, and I would assume 10, 12 maybe. I honestly don't know the count of them. Because there were people upstairs shooting at this very time, and in the other rooms in the house there was firing going on toward the street.
Out of the house and into the house?
No, it hadn't come into the house yet.
Yeah, okay.
It was going out at that point.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And were they Americans?
The Americans doing the shooting.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were resisting.
Yeah, somewhat. I mean,
yeah.
Because no, I don't know what they had. I didn't see until we got together as a group and said what was going on. Whether they upstairs knew that all these things would surround us or not.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but some of them knew that the Germans moved through the night. They even went out to the street and heard him. It's my Pappendick being one of them. He was the driver on my damn gun, you know. But he never come and told me. I never talked to him until he was under that Jeep and I went back there to get him. But when these guys went out, the shooting stopped, and they got down halfway between the door and the street, right alongside this stucco building. That's when the machine guns opened up. And you could just hear the bullets hit them guys because they were only a matter of maybe 5 feet from us on the inside, and it just sounded for all the world like every one of them got hit in the chest with a sledgehammer, swung so hard you could hear the thud, and you could hear the grunt of their knocked the breath out of them, every one of them. You could hear that just as plain. I can hear that today just as plain as it was then. Well, that's when we said, well, hell, you know, they ain't taking no prisoners. You know, that's obvious. Yeah.
But the officers didn't get shot.
No, I can't understand why. I just really, none of the information that I've read in any of this explains why. But some of the guys, you'll hear them on them tapes say, his Pappendick was going to go over in this old barn because he went over there and looked when he saw these Germans moving through in the night, which he didn't tell everyone. And he was going to escape with the cattle. He was going to the cattle and he was going to run with them and try to make an escape, you know, like they did in the old Western movies.
Yeah.
And he was a truthful person, both Pappendick was, yeah.
And he got shot.
Well, when he was laying under the Jeep, after me and the other fellow was in the basement surrendered when we came up, Pappendick was one laying under the Jeep, and he was the driver of our half-track. And he's hollering at me, Duck, please, because they called me Duck because my name was Donald. Half of them didn't even know my real name, I guess. Please come and help me, please come and help me. I said, I can't. I'm sorry, Mike, I just can't. You know, but I was figuring waiting for this guy to shoot me any damn time. There's no reason he wouldn't, you know. And then that's when I said, when we went up in the field and joined the group, and then the same guard took me up there, came back and picked me out of line and took me back. We moved back to get Pappendick. And Pappendick told me then he was upstairs in the window because after they shot the fellows up in front of the house, they started shooting the house down with high explosive shells from the tanks. Yeah, some of them tell you about it in there. And Pappendick told me he got blown out of the upstairs window from the concussion. But in his own tape story, he said he'd already surrendered, was out in the street, and they were shooting at him from tanks and stuff, and he got back up in there and got under that Jeep. And I believe my story, I believe he told me the truth, because he was stunned. He was bleeding up the mouth and nose. He was shot through the leg, I think, or shrapnel, I forget which it was. Yeah. And I think my story was right, because that's what I said to Jack Flanagan, the secretary of this tank destroyer unit. I said, he said, Mike Pappendick said the two Germans come back and got him. Well, I said, Jeff, why would I tell you? How could I tell you where he was and what happened if I didn't go back to get him, you know?
Yeah.
Well, he said, you know, under the conditions, he said, a lot of people don't remember things. Well, I can agree. There's things that I don't remember about it for sure.
But you couldn't make that up.
No, and wouldn't.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't make up a lie because there's no damn reason for me to make up a lie, you know. There's just no point in it.
Well, what did they do with him? What'd you do with him?
Well, I'm just sure that when me and this guard took him over there, that we took him over to a building, like I said, I thought I saw in the picture, had the steps going down along the side and had a railing, a pipe railing along there. And the Germans had a first aid station set up in there. And we helped get him down in there and left him there.
Oh.
Which he says that he was left there by these Germans. But he was left there by one German and one American, truthfully. Yeah, but I was the American. But me and the guard was the one. He couldn't walk on his own at all.
Oh, I suppose not.
But I said in my tape that I never saw Pappendick after we escorted him back across. Well, I wasn't sure about that medical thing. And then when I heard about it, I said, oh yes, I remember going down that steps, you know, with him.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't mean the German leaving. Yeah.
And then where'd you go?
That's when they took us over in this field with all the rest of them. They had a lot of Americans over there. And what part of town they come from, I absolutely don't know.
Yeah,
You
well,
know,
they told us in that little town that there was a lot of Americans in a lot of basements.
Well, obviously there must have been,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess they just waited them out.
Yeah, that's what this one did.
Yeah.
Because the 1st Panzer Division had moved on, and a lot of other things had moved on. Because I waited until everything had moved. They're stupid to come out.
Well, they
when you
moved
know
all
what's
the
going-
hours of daylight, didn't they?
Beg pardon?
They moved all the hours of daylight.
Well, they were moving until they got through what the force they had there,
Yeah.
which was and God knows how long they'd moved before daylight. But like I say, when it all stopped and heard no shooting and no vehicles running, that's when I since I knew what way we come in from, and there was plenty of places you could have crawled and hid, you know, to get away. It was winter weather and it wasn't bright sunshine or anything, although there was snow on. That's when I said, I'll go up and look. To this other guy from the reconnaissance outfit was with us. And I said, I think maybe we can get back to our lines now. And that's when I come up there and turned that corner, and there that fellow sat, that son of a bitch just on my goddamn guts as plain as anything could possibly be. Yeah. I had a kind of a sneaky, scary feeling prior to that, but that feeling was one all of its own. That was the positive time right there, you know.
I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine.
Well, I just stood there and waiting for it to do it. I mean,
Well,
no
what
alternative.
else?
Well, then I had a damn German Luger strapped on. I didn't kill the man that I got it off of, but he was dead. You know, well, that was a German officer's gun. Well, I figured he'd kill me on account of having that, you know. Because you're supposed to destroy your gun when you get captured. But a soldier without a gun is absolute nothing, you know. You're the prey of anything that comes along.
Mm-hmm.
So, and with what they'd already captured, my damn little gun wasn't going to make 2 guns. I mean,
Well, I'll tell you something I recall, Sam, and I'd like to ask you about.
yeah.
You got the watch for Christmas before that.
Yeah.
For Mother and Dad.
And
they took it, didn't they?
They took it. And I stayed in the tape, and a lot of people misunderstand that when they hear it, but I didn't mean it the way it sounds. I said they took our clothes and our cigarettes and our everything, you know. One time they took our clothes. They took our arctics. They took our overcoats. It was cold enough. We had overcoats on, wool overcoats, and took our steel helmets. But there was plenty of them that didn't have these things, you know.
Yeah.
And,
They weren't the best shape either by any means. By that time they
No,
were.
they weren't.
Yeah.
In many ways,
Yeah.
many ways, they was hurting for gasoline. That's why we worked in the sled factory after we was captured, because they didn't have the gas to run their trucks to fly their planes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we marched for 8 days, all told.
You started right then? Shortly
We-
there?
we
You
started-
started on the 17th?
We started on the 17th, roughly maybe 10 o'clock in the morning, I would assume,
Uh-huh.
and marched until just before dark that night, and stayed in some old unheated basements of some kind.
Well, what kind of accompaniment did you have? Who was marching with you on their side?
It's a pretty damn stern guard, because there was sugar beets and carrots and stuff. They buried in piles, covered with dirt, in piles along the road. They kept them all winter that way. And they would have holes in the side with straw stuffed in them. And everybody was so goddamn hungry that some of these guys wanted to run over and get us. Well, we soon learned that if you broke the ranks, you're dead. They told that. There was enough guys who speak German to let you know that. So all you could do was dip down and get snow. That's the only damn source of supply you had. There wasn't no choice, I mean.
And they marched you all day.
Yes, and if you went down there, you laid.
And they left you.
Oh yeah.
They just left
there was no truck coming behind like when
Yeah.
you took a hike with the U.S. Army.
Yeah.
Yeah, there he was. Yeah.
And then run you in a foundation or a basement or someplace for overnight.
Yeah, and if there was no building around, you stayed outside at night.
No covers.
No
No
covers,
no
top coat was
overcoat.
gone.
No shoes.
Arctics
No
was gone.
Arctics.
I had combat shoes on me, but no Arctics, and my feet got frostbitten so bad. And son of a bitches, when I was in Stalag 4B, they turned as white as that napkin, and the skin on the bottom all peeled off, and that son of a bitch was, I think, must have been 18 inches thick. The skin had frozen and turned white. Not just me, I mean, it was,
Yeah.
Yeah, but
It's
see,
a wonder you didn't get gangrene, infection.
well, it
and
goes
just,
to show you what the body can heal with no treatment.
yeah.
But at this camp,
And this is after they marched you for 8 days?
Yeah, that's when we came to
Yeah.
Stalag 4B, which
And
we
you
never
don't
knew what it
know-
was. There was
you-
no name of any town close to.
You don't know where the Stalag 4B was?
No, I don't
Yeah.
know, and I don't know if it's in any of that.
Yeah.
I don't think it is.
Yeah.
But there is.
And were you able to tell whether there were a lot of Americans already there?
I don't think there was many Americans there. There could have been, but what we saw was no Americans there. And they kind of processed us there, and we already had some pretty good ideas about the Holocaust and how them people were getting treated and how some of the Polish people and others were getting treated. And why should we expect any damn better? So we came to this one big building, and this is another time when I got a spatial surge of fear. As with all Americans, prisoners. As we're coming up to this building, there's a conveyor on the right-hand side running up this way, going through burlap sacks like that hanging down into a building. And like I say, this is wintertime. We had to disrobe absolutely completely. Everything. They put it on this goddamn conveyor, and I said there's furnace in there, and that stuff is getting burnt. You know, I have no question in my mind about that. So then you go through this door, and you're naked, and there's a German sitting there, a soldier. Didn't look like a medical person, had a regular uniform on. He had a big goddamn bucket like a bushel. Had this look like wallpaper paste in it. He had a big old gobby brush about this big around, and he was painting all around your genital areas and under your arms. And that part, I said, well, that's for the bugs, I assume. Then you walk a few steps further, and there was another set of these drapes like that, and you went through that. Here's this son of a bitch sitting there with a hypodermic needle. You give you a shot just that far above your left hip. And every shot I ever got in the military was never there. Well, then there was another set of these drapes over here where you go out the back. I said, well, hell, there's no question out there's this big open trench. I mean, that's the logical way. You know, they don't dig individual graves for mass burials.
That shot was to kill you.
I figured exactly, absolutely. And walked through that door, and here's our goddamn clothes on this conveyor from out the back. They were fumigated. They were actually warm, and, you know.
Well, that's the sheerest kind of terror.
Well, you better believe it is.
Of course. Because anything you heard about the Holocaust, this is what they did. They made them take their clothes off. Of course, they took their clothes.
Oh, I mean, you see some of the film, the original film. Yeah.
But then when you got naked and went in someplace and you either got gas shot or...
Yeah, and there was nobody to tell you any goddamn difference because nobody knew. And the ones that knew didn't give a damn if they could spoke English, you know. But quite a few of them could speak some English. Yeah.
And you hadn't eaten in all this 8 days?
I hadn't eaten 8 days, and
nobody else had.
The one night, I think about the last night we stayed, God, I wish I could remember the town had a bakery in it. And we was in pretty decent buildings there. of some kind. They weren't heated, but door opened. A German officer come in with a German soldier, set off tone, which meant they wanted your attention. And nobody paid too much attention. Everybody was damn tired and everything else. And he said something to that shoulder, and that son of a bitch shot up through that roof, and boy, I'll tell you, they all hit the floor. He was looking for volunteers. He got volunteers in a goddamn hurry. I learned in the United States Army, you never volunteer for anything, but I learned pretty goddamn quick, and under some conditions, you'll volunteer for anything. Well, they were the lucky ones. I wasn't picked. They went and worked in the bakery overnight, and they got to eat all kind of bread and stuff. I mean, they were the lucky ones, and they were short people at the bakery office.
Yeah.
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 They come back and told us all about it. Yeah. But the first thing we got to eat was a 2-inch piece, if it was 2 inches, of a soybean bread. Soybean potato bread, I believe it was. And couldn't hold it all.
Couldn't hold it all, yeah.
Absolutely
Yeah.
not. It was a very filling stuff, contained a lot of food value, I'm sure. And I guess our stomachs had shrunk.
Yeah.
Got hungry as we were. You guys said, this ain't gonna be nothing. It was something, yeah.
Could you keep what you didn't eat and take with you? Like you said, you couldn't finish that. Could you keep what you didn't eat?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
got to keep that
Yeah.
and take with you?
That was the first we got.
By that time, was the march over? Were you being settled in some place, or did you continue marching?
No, that's when we got to this Dello 4B. That's the first thing we got. But there was no cooked meals or anything, one for us, I mean, at that place.
Were these
later on.
guards eating?
Well, yeah, but see, the guards kept, they had places ever so far along the road.
They
where
changed
would
guards.
change, yeah,
Yeah.
we get fresh ones. But we
Yeah.
had to keep marching, I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But they
yeah.
would change, you know, a matter of hours, I don't know
Yeah.
how many. But
Yeah.
when you got treated with disrespect, any town or any place you went to where there was people that spit on you, which it's understandable to me, but it's hard to put up with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not a
Men
few
and women. Well, were there men in the towns, or was it
old
most
men,
old men?
Old men
and women?
Yeah.
And children, or were there evidence that you
I
didn't see
never
the kids?
saw
Yeah,
kids
well,
playing, you
they
know.
probably had them away from these
I was sure.
areas.
The first contact I come to kids, we was digging an air raid shelter in a schoolyard, and that's where you example how diverted German youth was. They'd come out and stand on top of this pile, looking down at us working, and the schoolmaster had a swastika on his arm. You could tell what he amounted to or what he belonged to. He come out there and hollered to them rouse. All moved back to this one. So I couldn't understand German at the time, but we was all down in there that could. He told him, if you get back out, I'll come out and bust your head. And that young German had been 12, 13 maybe not that, I don't know exactly. He just turned around and faced him, threw his chest up, cocked his hands like that, and the schoolmaster walked out there and busted that goddamn kid in the head and knocked him down. He got up for another one.
Oh, they had them trained.
That's the young fellows that made the snipers.
Yeah.
They would stay after the main German army had gone and try to pick you off from church steeples or attics or wherever. I mean, they was that damn devoted. And there was one rule that the United States military had. You never took a sniper prisoner. That was a no-no. That was like a medic with a gun. I mean, that was a no-no.
You killed them.
Yeah, you're supposed to.
Yeah. Well.
Just part of the plans of the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then finally you were put in some rather permanent place and given work to do?
Yeah. From this 4B, after we got the shops and the clothes fumigated and all that, where was the first place I went? What did I do? I believe the first place I went to was this sled factory, and that was in Halle, Halle. And I don't know what the factory had originally done, but when we was out of town, a mile or more, I guess, and in a little wooden building with bars on it. And every morning before daylight, we'd have to go out and push a little buggy with no horses. We'd all have to have our hands on that buggy all the way in, all the way back. We took your hand off it when you there too, because You know, you expect you up to no good. You hope the bumblebee didn't sting you or something, you know, along the way. But you pushed your food container in there with a 10-gallon or whatever the hell kind of can. Food, that's the only thing you had in the buggy. And did that every day and into the sled factory where they built.
You're saying sled?
Sled, big sleds they pulled with horses for to haul stuff. They didn't have gas for the trucks.
Oh.
So they building this. They was pulling the artillery with horses and everything that could be pulled with horses. They were pulling with horses. You know, it's getting up in 1944, yeah. And
you'd wonder, you know, where they got these horses.
Yeah.
Just went out and got them around the surrounding areas off the farm.
Well, that was one of the badly planned things Adolf Hitler did. He, like our country, one time was dependent on other countries for fuel. Well, how the hell long can you run a country or a military with no fuel? Well, when it all went from somewhere, all you got to do is cut off the supply. And then, of course, they bombed down. But they bombed them every day and every night without fail. England and the United States and France even had a few that they sent to England, you know, before they were completely overtaken. But I've seen airplanes, oh my God, just so in the invasion on D-Day, the sky was so full, I just can't imagine they just wasn't crashing into each other. And every plane was pulling a glider. And there was some damn bad planning there, because in France they didn't build fences. They built hedgerows, which were made out of dirt and rocks. And fields were small, and gliders need a place to glide in. Many of them got killed or injured before they ever got into combat, because I don't know why the damn hedgerows, you know, I just couldn't understand why. Or whether they dropped them at the wrong place, you know, you couldn't say. But God, and I seen bombers go. How the hell they all got them all off the ground and going? Wave after wave after wave, and they're the guys I felt sorry for. Because you would see the anti-aircraft shells go up. You would see this flak just breaking around in every place. I mean, and they have no place to hide. They can't duck behind the machine. They can't get in a hole, and they don't alter their course. They head for the target. They go for the target. Well, I've seen many of them come down. Unfortunately, but true, yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't make it.
What a wild thing, you know.
Yeah.
Just hearing this, you
Yeah,
can't be
and I've seen our planes crash together. Yeah.
Well, at one point on that march, you were strafed by our own planes, weren't you?
We strafed in that field right in Huntsville.
Oh, right there in Huntsville?
Because, oh yeah, that's when we stand in that field, yeah. And when they radioed back for help, it was 15 miles to the closest American.
Jeez.
Yeah. And so what the hell can help? And it was bad weather. 17th of December, it was snow on the ground. It may have been snowing a little then, cloudy as all hell. And finally, the one guy said we were pretty Spitfires. But the plane that I saw was not a Spitfire, it was a Thunderbolt B-47 American plane. And it come down, and I'll tell you exactly what it did, and if any witness in Hartford, they would know. We went to bomb all our half-traction guns so that the enemy couldn't use it. That was their primary purpose, which is par for the course. Well, then they saw us over in the field, and they thought we were Germans. And you'll never believe they had 50 caliber machine guns on at that time. And them bullets hitting that ground, they sounded like they was just damn big. And you could see snow flying around. I mean, when nobody knows how close it came to us. And nobody that I know of got hit.
Oh.
But you couldn't run, you couldn't do nothing.
No.
You just had to stand there and take his course. There was guards there with us too. Yeah.
They had to stand there too.
Yeah. Sure did. But I know that when I come up them stairs, that German soldier was sitting there was not from the 1st SS Panzer Division. By his uniform, he was a reserve or somebody from behind. But I'm sure there's a different color in the uniform. Because I got interviewed by an SS on the way on the march, incidentally. Another time I thought I was gone, son of a bitch. We arrived at this old theater that used to be an American USO. And this is that, maybe the second day we marched. But see, I don't know if we went down the lines of fighting or how. I have no idea how we went, directions. But with no sun, if I had a sun, we could get a reading.
Yeah.
We could get a reading on strange territory. But we went this old USO, because we seen the signs up there, Americans had been there, you know. And we're sitting there in these seats, and this SS, I don't know what his rank was, probably pretty high. He come in there, his arm hurt. He's walking down them aisles, looking both sides at everybody. Well, how the hell are you going to look? If you don't look at somebody, they're going to pick you. If you look at them, so you try to look friendly, but I knew goddamn well he was going to pick me. I had that feeling, I knew it.
Yes, sir.
Come on, yeah. Take me out the back door. Oh, yeah, this is it. You know, another time. So we get out there, he said, what's your name? I told him. Rank, serial number. Whatever. Well, I might as well tell myself it was painted right on the damn front of the thing. 612 Tank Story Company B was painted right on the damn bumpers, you know. So I told him that. He said, who's the commanding general? In all truthfulness, I told him, I don't know. Well, I didn't at that time, because we got reattached different times. You can read in some of the literature. We was even under Bradley at one time. We was under Patton at one time. And he asked me a couple other questions. I don't know exactly what they were, what our plans were or something. And they averaged down a little old fighting soldier not privy to the plans, you know. So I couldn't give him any information. I damn sure wasn't going to lie about it. So then he said, you know, that's all right. Then he told me who the goddamn commanding officers were. He told me what I was attached to. He told me the whole thing. He knew everything about me. He knew stuff about my outfit I didn't know.
So if you'd have lied, you'd have known it.
Oh, I'm sure he would have, yeah. But I learned all my life, don't lie. You know, it don't accomplish anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I knew the reputation of the SS, and I'd seen some samples along the way, you know. So I said, no. But I just knew.
He was
going to pick me. I knew from way up in the front of that room as he walked back. He was walking slow, you know. Just looking everybody over. I just knew he was going to pick me. And I said, what kind of look am I going to put on my face?
Yeah.
So as not to, you know. And
Be picked.
I said, whatever look I put on is going to be wrong. I just
Yeah.
wasn't as lucky as when I won that aluminum ware down at the theater down there with Ed Black and Jim wouldn't claim it. We did up here in the farm. Marianne Theater.
And you won?
I once said wherever aluminum wouldn't go up and claim it because we had a cow sheet of clothes on. We had to go straight from the farm. We didn't have time, you know. Yeah, I was scratched with the drawing. And I give a ticket to Jim and Ed, and they wouldn't go up and get it. The mother never got that wherever aluminum.
Oh, Jesus. Did you ever tell her?
No, but old Mangello got up there and said, yeah, I suppose later on, he got up there and said, the person that bought this ticket is in this ticket. You know, and he said, we can't wait all night for the person to come up. And he said, if somebody don't come up in a certain set of time here, he said, we're going to draw another number. And they're going to go ahead, but yeah, you go. No, yeah, you want it. But the most amazing thing I discovered about the German army, the infantry worked with us almost all the time. Unfortunately, they weren't with us this day because it was not a planned move. It was not a well-planned move anyhow. The infantry always had a point man. And he's the man who would go out every morning to make contact. And he would either get captured or killed without fail. Because he had to get to the enemy to know where they were. Well, they would either capture or kill him. That's how he found out. And they always, every evening, would sit around and debate about who's going to be pointing tomorrow. You know, and wouldn't know until next morning came. But when I got on the backside of that German army and saw them making the attack, every son of a bitch was running as fast as if the devil was chasing them with a damn pitchfork. Even the guys carrying the machine guns. Well, they had one advantage going at the time I saw them moving. Our troops were on the run. But all the way we went, we was moving into them in holes, in ditches, in houses, entrenched wherever they may be, you know, which would tend to make you a little more careful. But I'll tell you, by God, they was moving in a hurry. And I said to some of the fellows around, the rate they're going, they'll hit the English Channel in about a week. That's how every damn thing was running that way. Of course, when you join in the in a column with an outfit that's retreating, that's the time to pour it on. You're going in the
Yeah,
right direction.
that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Before something occurs, they get
Yeah,
reinforced
attention,
or stand and fight.
Well, then I just only had to read about how they stopped them finally and who it was and all that, yeah.
How far did they go before they got stopped?
I don't know, I've read it, but
Yeah.
well, I want that for me, let's see if it just would have happened to some of the territories we was much more familiar with. Like St. Vitt, St. Lo, so many different places. And Byre, there's a Byre offensive, there's Hill, 109, and Brest, and Cherbourg, and just all the different ones. I could knew the territory.
Yeah.
Just some bitch we moved into at night.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like I said, it was a long motor march to get there. I still don't know exactly how far. If I had a good map on me, you could figure it out with the scale of miles and all that.
Mhm.
But, I guess it's not really that important anymore. But it is nice to know they're still there.
Well, you know, by this time, you must have been into January. By the time you marched those
I
8
would-
days, and then, yeah.
I would assume so, yeah.
And was snow on the ground? It was still snowing, or?
Yeah, well, the weather...
And how
the
were you
weather-
sleeping? You know, you're still sleeping with all this little bit of clothing on you?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Jesus, I don't know why come you all didn't freeze to death.
Well, there just was no, no alternative. Yeah.
Would
And
you?
you can imagine how feet you... Well, if you never had your feet frozen, you don't know how.
No.
They get so sore and itchy and burning.
Oh,
that,
I bet they would.
But there's nobody to complain to, only your buddy, and he's burning worse than you are probably, so you don't hear your shit anyhow.
Did you finally ever get any place where it was warm?
Yeah, after we got at that Stalog 4B, we got some heat there. That was the first, and we got some food. That was the first we got treated, you know, like a human being, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
And then you marched on from there.
I think they took us by train, boxcar.
Oh.
We went by boxcar, and the door was shut. You couldn't see where you was going, and we didn't know until I saw the sign what town we was in. Yeah, but Weisenfeld, when we was there, that was a beautiful town, really beautiful.
Weisenfeld.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where we stayed in the windmill up on the hill. That's where we went up all the steps, 100, I forget how many. And that's hard to do when you're not getting enough food.
Yeah,
And
it's
some
hard
of
to
us,
do
the
when you
legs
are.
would get, they would get so sore.
Why, you suppose they took you way up there, up those steps?
Well, the windmills, I don't know if they always like that or not. I've never been in any other windmill. It had bars in all the windows, and there was about maybe
Oh, it
five,
was the prison.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it did stone,
Yeah.
and it was maybe 5 flights high, and the big fan or the wheel turned,
Mhm.
but there was a German woman in the basement, the bar, her husband was probably there too, that cooked our meals. And boy, she was a wonderful cook, yeah. She sure was.
So that by that time, you know, you were getting fairly decent treatment.
Yeah, and the rooms we had in that, well, maybe the German soldiers or somebody stayed there at times, they had stoves in them. And every so many days, they would give you 4 briquettes, which a briquette was a little piece of charcoal coke like this. And you could get that, it would burn pretty good. I mean, enough to keep you from freezing to death.
Well, hell, you must have felt like you were in a palace.
Well, one time this guard actually took one of the guys down and bought a part of a keg of this beer without no alcohol in it. Yeah, we got rewarded pretty good on that deal. Yeah.
But someplace along the line, you finally were put to work, weren't you?
Well, I went to work right away at the sled factory, I believe was the first one. The second one was at air raid shelter across from the German Veterans Hospital. Was that where? Yeah, that's where I was at one night.
It hurt your thumb?
I hurt my thumb in the sled factory,
Oh, you did.
but it didn't get that bad. It was hurting, but you know, that just wasn't part of it. But that son of a bitch gave big round and got infected. And, you know.
All this malnutrition contributed to that,
Yeah,
too. You don't heal
when,
right.
That's when they took me to Naumburg, and Naumburg is where this was a so-called hospital, but it was upstairs over the Russian prisoners. And there was an old French doctor that had no equipment. He had some knives and that, but no ether, no pills or A nice fellow. I had his address. It was in that bag that that son of a bitch stole down in Alabama that time off the Greyhound. I had a lot of personal stuff in there.
Mm.
But I always wanted to write to him. He's the one that they had the operator on that thumb. Him and a little short helper he had. And that helper got right up in here and is steadying me. He got my arm out there and he took snow and put on it to make it cold. Then he took this, I assume a scalpel, but see this guy standing where I can't see this bastard. And here's exactly what it felt like to me. Have you ever seen them old hook knives you cut tar paper with?
Yeah, yeah.
It just felt to me like that son of a bitch had that push down in my thumb with both hands and had his feet braced up there someplace. Boom! It's exactly what it felt. And that son of a bitch was a hurting. And I don't know what kind of a noise it was. I didn't scream, but I was sure as hell carrying on. And right over there close to that counter was this fella. They had cut down in the back calf of his leg, this goddamn foreign had laying open, digging out a piece of shrapnel. And this French doctor said, hey, you like him, keep quiet. Well, after I seen him, I said, well, take her off, buddy. That's what I was doing anyhow. That's when they opened
Scraped
that all
it,
up,
didn't they?
Scraped the bone and packed it with
No anesthetic. No,
No,
nothing.
they didn't have none. I mean,
Well, yeah, they didn't have it.
yeah, and he took his piece of long gauze, I guess it was, you know, and just wound it back and forth in. They cut it down in a big V here. You kind of see him scars there.
Yeah, you got
And he kept that packed. And this, when they operated on this that day, something was bleeding pretty bad. I was supposed to cut some veins or whatever in hell in there, you know. And the goddamn crash alarm, air raid siren went off, which means they're hitting you. And we all had to run to the air raid shelter. there I am out there bleeding like a bastard, down in like a fruit cellar. And they was bombing the graveyard. It was right beside this place where the Russian prisoners. There was Americans, and there was obviously American, was English and Serbian. There were other kind of prisoners in there in this hospital place. And they're bombing the hell out of this graveyard. And here I come home to talk to a man that was in that graveyard, was digging graves in there. Corky Bushon from Imperial.
Corky
Bushon
Bushon.
was in that
I rode
graveyard.
to work with his wife
Yeah.
during the war.
Yeah, yeah. I'm telling him there, because one vet will confide in. I never talk to people about it, you know, because all them war stories you ever hear told people tell me, said, look, the hell, some bitch lie about this, you know. So I said, I ain't gonna say anything about it, you know. But Corky's talking about it. And, I said, yeah. I said,
Yeah, his wife and I drove to work at Pittsburgh Forging Company.
Yeah, I told him about this time where he got born. I said, I was at damn little hospital kind of a place there. I said, Naumburg. He said, Naumburg. Yeah, I said, Naumburg. You was in Naumburg? I said, yeah. He said, you talking about they bombed you? I said, yeah. I said, they wasn't bombing, not really. But I said, they was bombing the graveyard right beside us, and I don't know why they was bombing the graveyard, because it was first grave being dug. We could see them. We was that close to it. Hell, Sammy said I was in that graveyard. I was in one of them graves. And I don't know what they thought those American planes doing it, you know. Yeah, and what the hell they thought was in there. Of course, there might have been something else in there.
Yeah.
You know, there really could have been. I don't know.
Like you say, the people on down the line don't know what's going on.
No, you know how much information you always had? If somebody came up to you and said, what's the situation? Here's what you could say. The enemy's in that direction. And you hope you're right. But that's where your gun was pointed. So, you know, you have to assume that. Unless you could see him.
And where was it they sent to you in German, no work, no eat?
That was any place.
Every place, huh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And officers didn't work. So I assume officers probably lost weight like hell. Yeah.
Yeah, and as thin as you got, imagine those people who weren't working and weren't eating anything. They weren't eating anything.
I would assume not.
What? Did you know if any of it died? It got sick and starvation?
Yeah, a lot of people got the diarrhea.
Yeah,
I got that bad one time. Had a harrowing experience at that, working at a sled factory. There was bombing going on all the time, you know. And every town had a air raid siren. And they had the warnings when the planes were so far away. And they had, when they got within so many miles of your town, they had what they called a crash alarm. That's when they're going to hit your town.
Yeah.
Damn quick, matter of fact. We're in the sled factory, and the toilet was the big cement walls on that toilet. And I had this diarrhea so bad that, oh my God, I was so in the back, and you know, and went back there all the time. There so used to these sirens and all that. That I'm back in there, and you don't want to goof off there. I mean, you know, you talk about union jobs being something, well, but I'm back there and I'm doing my business, and you just can't believe on me. Every time you go to move it more, and I come out and ran a son of a bitch in that factory. Well, I heard the air raid. It was a crash alarm, but I didn't sense what was going to happen. Well, they actually took everybody out and took them down to the air raid shelter. Well, we'd never evacuated the building before. There I am in this goddamn building with these triangles painted all over me, which any German sees me on the street will shoot me. That's what they're on there for, your front and back, legs and all this. So I said, hell, I ain't going to go out the street. What am I going to do? I said, I'm going to sit down right here where they feed you, and I'm going to sit here. That's all I'm going to do. And I'm sitting there, and about that time I heard somebody say something. I looked up here, this man with a suit on. He had a swastika band on his arm, too. He was a plant manager, and him and his wife lived in the back. I didn't know anybody lived in there. And he asked me what I was doing there. He could speak pretty good English. And I explained the situation to him. And he took me back there into his kitchen and took me down to the table, and his wife took, it was charcoal. She mixed with water as a paste and gave me that, and that cured my diarrhea. And the people I saw get the diarrhea went to the Krankenhaus, they called that was the hospital. Nobody ever came back. So maybe they went someplace else in the hospital. Maybe they went down. You know, we had no way of knowing. There was no communication.
Well, through all this, you learned quite a few German words, didn't you?
Well,
you're saying them here tonight, yeah.
Well, necessary
today.
You learn, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose some other, but I mean, you know.
Yeah. But they were telling you no work, no eat in German.
Nichts Arbeit, nichts Essen. Yeah. Made it very plain, yeah. And like I told you, when that one, he was a people's army, I think they called it, the old people, you know. They could guard prison and do things like that. They weren't dangerous prisoners.
They were using everybody that they could get at that point.
They needed them at that point, yeah. And we digged these air raid shelters. And some of it, I think maybe I was even one, because you could send a person that's all right. As a matter of fact, he was so all right that we had a bunch of these young fellows in the service that never worked anyplace. And they don't know how to use a mattock or a shovel.
Yeah.
He said, here. He handed me his rifle, the hole, while he went down and showed him how to use the shovel. And you see what kind of a guard that is? That's a guard that's all right. That's a person that's all right.
Yeah. No matter what side he's on.
That's right,
Yeah.
And that's when I told him, I said, hey, we're going to go on strike tomorrow. And he said, going to go on strike? He said, for what? More money. That's the only thing you ever strike for. He said, gelt, huh? Pulled out his wallet, pulled out all these Dutch marks he had in there. Threw them all right down in there too. He said, take them all. He said, there ain't no good, no good, no good. All you can buy is wooden combs and beer with no alcohol. I don't need any more.
How long do you suppose you'd been prisoner by this time? Where were we in time?
Oh, let's see. Well, I went to that so-called hospital, and I suppose I was there, maybe a month. Maybe not, but they had a English fellow there who was operating on for appendicitis in 1940, but he got captured in Dunkirk, which was in 39, and his incision had never healed. Because he wasn't getting enough food quality. I keep watching that little bastard run back and forth. He wasn't getting enough food to create the things it took to heal it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But him and I was the only two who spoke English in there. And there was Serbians, but no Russians. No Russians.
They probably killed them.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me, because the way they treated him downstairs and stick that dog on and beat that guy with that rifle, absolutely nothing. Just like he picked me out at the theater place. That guy, that German soldier, just went up there with that rifle and just started beating on him and stick that dog on him. Maybe that guy had done something the day before, but I damn sincerely doubt it. You know, if he had, he'd done something the day before, I assume. And all these women that lived around, these German women, they're in them windows hollering at that son of a bitch. I mean, they're really raising hell with that soldier, that German soldier.
Oh, they were unhappy about the situation?
Oh, they were very, very unhappy, yeah. But see, what could, you know, they had no say-so.
I suppose probably his only fault was he was Russian.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, because the German army by that time had taken one hell of a beating in Russia.
Oh, well, there was no conversation. Because we were up in the windows looking out. Our windows looked right down on this so-called courtyard, I would call it, had this big high fence around it. And they formed these Russian soldiers out there to go to work as they did every morning. And just all at once, that German soldiers ran over and started beating on him and then took this dog, and the dog was just there, and of course I'm getting pieces on me. It's pitiful. It's absolutely pitiful, yeah.
And you're totally helpless.
Oh, yeah. Even them German women there were helpless, yeah. Sure were. So I suppose that one died. I don't know.
Probably, because, you know, what kind of care would he get? And he was already dilapidated from the lack of food and nutrition.
Well, then, one night, well, as a matter of fact, that was the night, 11th of April, 1944. German officer, fairly high rank.
Did you have any theory or any notion at all how close you were being?
Oh, yeah.
Did
I
you?
knew.
There were signs?
I heard the American guns firing. I could tell American guns from the German guns. Oh, yeah. I could tell American tanks when they fired. I knew the guns pretty well and the vehicles. And I told them, boy, that's our artillery coming in. It's about to get our ass, you know. But I said, they lay her down. They had pretty good.
Any idea about where you were? From this Molenberg? Were you still there?
Yeah, I was still there.
You were still there,
yeah.
okay.
And it was, and she's going to give some more tomorrow. They just showed half of the interview. She told today who her favorite characters were, and tomorrow she's going to tell what she thinks of the Clinton administration.
That ought to bring a big rush of viewers.
Yeah, I can imagine, being of the nature she was, because you know who her hero is, don't you?
Ronald Reagan.
By all means. And she's the one that said, we can get along.
Yeah.
Talked about Gorbachev when she met him. And she said the most fantastic thing that happened in later years anyhow was Ronald Reagan and his decisiveness in the Star Wars thing, which never really materialized, but it was at one point announced that they tested it and the test was successful, which didn't happen exactly that way. But some Russian people thought it did and could no longer compete because they had gone broke trying to keep up with the thing anyhow. So it was the end of communism in Russia. And it was really a big joke, I mean.
She talked just about as slow as you're talking too.
Yeah.
You were mimicking her, I take it.
Well, maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you were.
But, well, I was just thinking of what she said.
Yeah, you were saying it in the same
well then, my other buddy had dinner with her. He was invited by her, Rush Limbaugh, with Margaret Thatcher.
They were on what?
He had dinner with her.
I mean, they were on ABC?
No, Limbaugh don't make appearances no more. He turned that down.
Oh, he doesn't?
Well, he's going to be on 2020 this Friday night for the whole segment, they say. Barbara Walters was there. Oh, God, she was there an extended period of time. And, well, her and you Downs was talking about the end of 2020 last week. She's kind of pleased with him. I would say the way she talked, but, you know, people can wear two faces.
Yeah.
Because he's controversial to a lot of people.
Yeah, and I would think Barbara Walters would be one.
Well, the one question that one little segment they played on 2020 last weekend was when Barbara asked Rush, what do you think of the women's movement? He said it's particularly interesting when you're following 20 feet behind it. And she said, oh, Rush. Well, he said, Barbara, don't you have a sense of humor? Well, he's a humorist. You know, these people don't understand the man. You don't know what he is. He's the one that has a song about Hillary's insurance, entitled From the Womb to the Tomb.
Oh.
I think it's very hilarious. And it'll even reapply severed members. Because that's when Bill Clinton called, or Gore called Hillary. Gore asked Bill Clinton if it would, just in the conversation. So Bill called Hillary, who was in another part of the White House, and she said, yes, it will. So that's added into the attached severed members.
Well, there was a guy a while back that needed it.
That's
Yeah.
that's how that conversation came about.
Yeah,
They was talking
yeah.
about that incident.
I'm sure of that. Well, we looked over here a while ago and found out this red light wasn't on, so we missed a lot of this. We're going to try to go back and pick up on some of it. We're not really sure where we're supposed to go back to or what we're going to pick up on, but we may repeat a little of this, but who cares? It's like the clock.
Well,
Did I send you one of those clocks?
clock?
Oh, I got sent. He didn't get one.
Obviously not.
John loved it. Then when John got sick and was in that hospital bed in the middle room, the clock went to the middle room where he could see it. It's marvelous. You really should have one.
I made them. And
Oh,
I'll
you
make,
made? Yeah.
oh yeah, and I'll put it on this tape and I'll make you one and send
Yeah.
it. But I will
Okay.
tell you about it.
Well,
I
I'm
saw
going to show
one.
you my Rolex. Nobody else can see from this angle, I assume.
I saw this in the drugstore and tried to buy it. It wasn't for sale,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I studied a little bit, and I saw I could make it.
Yeah.
It's face of a clock, and I get these parts and put on there, the numbers and the hands. But the numbers aren't 112, 212. They're all on the lower half of the clock, just scattered around all over the face of it.
Yeah.
The numbers are all there.
Yeah, the numbers are all there. I got the whole set, 1 to 12.
Yeah.
But they're all in the lower half of this face.
Oh,
And they're scattered, and they're upside down, they're sideways, and everything else, and up above it says. But, one other thing I should add, you can tell time with it because you go down and you put a dot for a line for 1 and
Yeah.
2, 3.
Yeah.
Then you scatter these
tell
things.
time,
Yeah. And it says up at the top, who cares?
I love it.
Yeah, no wonder.
And
Well,
it's,
it's a pretty good attitude to
and
have.
it's just made a big hit with a lot of people.
Well, it would make a big hit with me
Oh,
because
it
it's immaterial.
is. Yeah.
Yeah?
It just stays,
Yeah.
it really is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I wanted to put who the hell cares on there. That's too much writing.
then
So-
we're the older generation.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
4 letters would take care of the young ones.
I don't have any idea where to start this thing, so I'm thinking about starting, after you were,
We was talking about at Naumburg
yeah,
and
Yeah.
the
Russian,
German beating the Russian
Right,
with the rifle
yeah,
and sticking the gun
exactly.
the dog on him.
yeah.
And the women leaned out the windows hollering at him. I couldn't understand German at that time, but I could understand what the tone of their voice told. I mean, they were shaming him even attempting to. And the other German was trying to tell him. I would think that was the conversation. There was plenty of fellows up in that hospital. Well, there may have been 12 people up there, I guess. It wasn't that many, maybe. But me and the English fellows only.
Well, when did you first become aware of this? Was no yelling at each other or anything like that? He just went over there and started on him, huh?
He just, we was up looking out the window for lack of anything else to do to see anything. We was in the backside of town, like you could look at the backside of the buildings. I mean, clear out in the edge of town. We was the last thing out there. And that's where we was alongside that graveyard, so the graveyard's not right in town.
Yeah.
And they just fell him out that morning to go to where they did every morning. And just one guard just pulled his rifle off his shoulder and grabbed it by the barrel end and went over and just started beating that son of a bitch. I mean,
And
I
the
was
dog,
hoping to stop would broke off his gun, of course.
he'd have beat him with the rest of it.
Well, they had rust-stocked 8mm Mausers, them son of a bitch. I had one
Had
of
a
them.
big heavy stock.
I had one of them I bought here at the Army Surplus store. Oh, he's good shooting guns, yeah. Oh, hell yeah, they were strong.
And all the while the dog was staring at him.
Yeah, he tore a sick dog on him afterwards, yeah.
The guy was down by this time.
Oh, yeah.
Gee.
And he wouldn't call the dog off. That's when them women start hollering. Yeah.
Well, since we don't know what we discussed on this tape, do you have any idea whether we had gotten up to where you were released? Where
Well,
the
I
American
don't know.
Army have moved in?
I don't know if we even got to where, when it's operating on my thumb, when we ran the air raid shelter, and they was bombing the graveyard next to us.
Yeah.
And that's where Corky Bushon was in, the
Yeah.
barber from Imperial. Oh,
Yeah.
he was the barber from Imperial. He's still over at Donaldson long ago.
Well, she's died. And they separated after he came home.
His wife died, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She got, it seems to me it was but they didn't live together after they came home.
Oh, yeah.
Because during the war I found out that she was gay.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I knew they wouldn't live together
Yeah.
after he came home, and it was a damn shame.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure he was a nice person. Well,
He always struck me as very nice.
well, even she said that, you know,
Yeah.
that there was no way it was his fault, that he was a very nice person.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I don't know. We talked about, well, you said to me, did I know when the American was coming?
Yeah,
Yeah, I know the day before. I could tell by the sound of the firing, you know.
Yeah.
I could tell American
Artillery,
guns
yeah.
and vehicles. You know, I could even sense mortar attack to artillery attack to a tank attack. I mean, after that long of it, I mean, you could get it down pretty packed, you know. And then I said, well, that's ours. That's incoming, you know, artillery. Yeah, I said, shit, we were allowed to get wiped out by our own outfit again, you know. But I'm sure they may have knew where we were. I don't have no idea. I mean, there's no reason they would, because I was the only American there.
And there was
I found out a way back the line I really wasn't that damned important, you know, to Uncle Sam. Postcard to get another one like me. That's how they got me. Greetings. But
well, finally, one man showed up, didn't he?
yeah, there was more than one, but the one infantryman from the 28th Infantry Division kicked the door down and come in and said, anybody here speak English? And I said, yeah. And he said, are you all right? Yeah. And the next thing he said, was this son of a bitch mean to you? You want to kill him? Here's my gun. No, he's good to us. Matter of fact, I said I would ask he get spatial coverage back to the collection.
And this was the guard who could have left with the other German troops but chose to stay.
Yeah, he's the one when his officer came and told him they're coming and they're going to take over the town. And everybody's leaving. But according to the Geneva Convention, you're supposed to stay here and turn your weapon over to the enemy, which he did exactly that. Yeah.
Well, you know, it's nice we're putting in this sort of thing. That,
Well,
you
then
know, many
I
of the
can tell you
German
something
people.
else that I saw there. When he took his gun over and set it down, it wasn't loaded.
Huh.
No.
So he couldn't have shot you.
He couldn't have shot us.
Yeah.
When I don't know when he took.
Yeah.
You know, because he could talk, speaking up English from being a prisoner of the American in World War I. Him and I could communicate pretty good. Yeah.
Well, it's nice that we put on here, you know, that, you know, it was only a certain element, like it is in every society.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when you're in any country and you're a citizen of it, just like this one, when you go in the goddamn service, you pledge to give it all, buddy.
Yeah.
You know, and at that time everybody meant it more than they would now, I think. Well, I'm serious.
Probably,
You know,
yeah.
I don't know. Our military is pretty devoted yet, and I'll put the exception in of the gays and the blacks, because who do you hear raising all the hell? The gays, the blacks, and the feminists. Really, it's the truth. The regular military people are in there. You know why they're in the military? They're in there to break things, kill people. They're not in there to go settle domestic riots or feed people.
Yeah.
They're in there to kill people and break stuff. Yeah, that's the purpose of the military. And, well, I don't think gays are equipped for it. And the blacks are afraid that they ain't getting their fair share. They ain't all generals. Well, the fact that Colin Powell had a position he had never got mentioned the other night. We was watching that on them blacks, which I finished watching it, by God.
Well, you were taping it, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, let's get back to this other thing.
It's easy for me to get off the track on something.
Well, anyway.
Some things are like a wire brush that kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
How was it? How long was it then before more people appeared from the Americans? You were released right then.
Oh, yeah.
Got out of there and were free to go.
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
He took me back to the first aid station. Americans had medics travel every outfit, you know.
Yeah.
And they had contact with the aid station as close as you could possibly set it to the front line.
Yeah.
Then you went a little back, there was a tent, and, you know, just right on the back of the line. And I went to the first little field hospital. I had no idea how far it was. I mean, it could have been about a quarter of a mile, maybe.
Yeah, not very far.
Maybe not even that far.
Relatively close, yeah.
Did you walk or go by Jeep or?
I really don't remember.
Well, how much?
I was so damn happy to get down on that street and walk on the sidewalk. We had to walk right down the edge of the goddamn curve. That's what they say when they spit on you, you know. He offered to give me his gun. Yeah. Oh, I don't need no gun.
Well, as I recall, you were down to what, about 115 pounds?
Pretty close to
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Maybe even more than that, because I didn't get weighed for a while.
Yeah, after you got released, yeah.
Yeah. First time I remember getting weighed, it was under 120, I think.
Yeah, as I recall, you know, I think at one time you were
Yeah.
probably down to like 115, and I suppose you weighed in the area of 170 or 80 when...
Yeah, I think because I went back up to 100 and almost 180 and held that till I had them strokes and quit smoking and got pot bellied.
Yeah.
Wife fed me all that fat food shit.
Well, okay. And then it was a series of moving back farther from...
From there, just from one field hospital to a bigger one
Yeah.
in France, and then into England, and finally to Kennedy Airport.
Yeah. And where was it you flew in the little bitty plane?
Well, we flew the first one from Germany to France,
Yeah.
another one from France over into England. I don't remember what part of England landed.
And then you got the really smallest one?
No, then we got a train up to
Oh,
Scotland.
a train.
Then
Well-
we got I think it was a C-54, but I'm not sure of the numbers now because been a hell of a lot of numbered planes have come out since.
To come across
But
the ocean?
it had 4 engines on it, of course, propeller engines.
But
The only jets there was, by God, I didn't know what they was. They was flying over us, and they wasn't ours.
But at one point you were flying on a Robin?
Yeah.
And how was it powered?
Well, this son of a bitch had the egg beater on the back or whatever it was.
Her propeller up its ass?
Yeah, you better know it. And we're coming over the Allegheny Mountains.
It was after you got over here that you were flying this Robin?
Yeah, it was from Kennedy Airport to
To the Bill
Greater
Farm.
Pittsburgh Airport.
Okay.
And like I say, it was in around the 1st of May, and the weather was bad, and you could look out and see these goddamn mountains, you know, and you could see these wings shaking. Well, you could see the plates on the wings, actually, you know.
Well, I'm sure you could.
Yeah.
They were motored. They had
Yeah.
one motor on it, didn't they?
Well, we had kites up the farm, but better made than that. That's rare.
Yeah.
Because that Jolly Boy you had.
Yeah, I
in the little house,
remember that Jolly
how'd that
Boy
do it?
where he had the missing teeth in front and the great big ears.
Do you know how an Italian airplane used to crash? Bzzz, whop.
Oh, buzz, wop.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, and then, so you eventually got to Butler.
Yeah.
But meanwhile you landed out here at what's now Greater Pittsburgh Airport. And
Within 3 miles, I guess, of where you lived. Or 4 at the most, I suppose, yeah.
We were living
in Imperial, yeah.
Yeah, we lived upstairs over the restaurant.
And you got there and couldn't come home, you had to go to...
Put my ass in M's and took me clear up on the other side of Butler, on 422 to Deschamps.
And meanwhile at home, I recall, you know, you were saying to us that you were all right. We didn't know if you had all your arms and legs.
Somebody wrote a letter for me because I tried to write left-handed and hell, I just wasn't going to work.
Well, this is because of this bad thumb.
I suppose it was a nurse who wrote it. I would imagine,
Yeah.
but I don't remember who did. But all my life's experience has been, which I never give credit to until lately, of the nurses and their devotion. Every nurse I was ever associated with in my memory bent over backwards, and I was nobody in no time.
I think basically
they are
that's
that way.
true, yeah. Dedicated people, because they don't get treated that well either by the doctors.
Well, even up there, and I didn't appreciate that at the time either, when the boys was there, when I took that long stroke, that 52-minute one, and 3 nurses come in there, and 2 of them sat on one side and 1 on the other side, and they was holding my hand. I thought they were taking my pulse at the same time, but see, I didn't really know that. And I couldn't talk, was the worst part. And,
but you were conscious.
Yeah, I was conscious, and I hated that because the kids were scared to death. All of them, I mean, their eyes were so big and all that. And I thought afterward, you know, if I would have died, at least them nurses were there holding your damn hands and talking. They was asking me questions even. And this one said, when I did conscious or whatever, you know, one of the paralysis left, I guess you'd say, she wanted to see how much damage had done. So she looked at me and she said, smile at me. And you know, I tried to say, and why I tried to say this, I don't know, because I'm stupid. I don't know why I should smile at you, because I don't even know you. Really, I mean. Well, I'm sure that.
Well, that probably made sense to her.
Well, I don't think she could understand. I probably just mumbled like hell, but that was what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
But maybe you could understand me. I don't know, you know. But they was just so damn nice. Yeah.
Because when I had that first little spell, I talked like I was so drunk and slurred my word. Oh, you couldn't have understood me. No way. No way.
Well, then I wish that somebody would have had a camera or something there, because I hesitate to tell anybody that I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk, you know, none of that shit. I had to learn all that over again. And it's hard to imagine.
How long did you stay that way?
Well, hell, the first time I walked was with Dennis, and I don't know how long it was after I came home, maybe a month.
Oh.
I couldn't, but I got to the goddamn bathroom in that hospital. I never used a duct in my life. Yeah. And I held my shit too. I don't use no damn bedpan in my life yet. Well, that nurse come in that one morning. She wasn't a nurse, I don't think. She was like a cleanup woman or something. And she said, Mr. Donaldson, I've got to ask you, don't you ever go to the, don't your bowels and kidneys ever work? Yeah, I said, they work on the kidneys. How can they? There's never nothing in your utensil there. I said, I don't use it. Oh, you're supposed to use it. Why do you think I take it? I take it out to measure it and weigh it.
Oh.
It was news to me. Shit, she probably thought I was dead. Nothing coming out, you know.
Were you eating, or were you being fed intravenously?
I probably didn't eat much. I don't know. I had pipes going in. But I said, I go to the bathroom. Oh, you're not allowed out of the bed. But I went. More than one time I went.
Well, obviously.
You'll never believe the first time when I went to even move to get up. Every muscle in my chest, just to move to lean forward at 1/4 of an inch. Oh, there's no way to describe that kind of pain. In my arms and my leg, every. I guess that's from being that paralyzed. Oh, I didn't think I was ever going to get out there, but I just had to keep going. I mean, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It was going to hurt if I lay back down.
Oh, yeah.
It made it worse. I mean, you
yeah,
strain on you.
You got that far.
Oh, boy. No way to complain to. Wouldn't have done much good anyhow, I don't reckon.
Well, I guess we're going back down there to Ziggyfoos, and I'm going to go see Kiney Black.
Oh, yeah. You know, last time I seen Kiney was I went to visit Ed in August. He died the next spring, I believe it was. It was a good while after I went to see him. But we had a nice visit. I took him downtown. He played his numbers.
He's still playing the numbers.
He was then, yeah.
I wonder if he ever won anything.
I don't know, but when I brought him back, Connie was up there wiping her car off. And me and Ed sat in the truck and talked a while yet. And so Ed said, well, I'm going to have to go to the house because I have to go to the bathroom and take medicine or something. And I said, yeah, well, and I said, well, maybe I'll come back and talk to you again next Sunday, you know. And Ed thought that'd be all right. And after Ed got out and started towards the walk, Connie walked over and said to me, well, Sam, she said, if you're going to come down again, she said, I'd like for you to call me and Crib and me. Well, yeah, I said, I will. And I made my mind right then, hey, adios. I ain't going back. I didn't go back for many years after he moved because you had to take your shoes off. And if I'm going to go in somebody's house, I have to take my shoes off, I ain't going in there. I went to my son's house, which cost a hell lot more than Ed Black's house, and I didn't have to take my shoes off, and the son of a bitch was 1 day old. And had rugs, you know, and I ain't got to take him in his house. I know he wanted his mother eat pigskin on a goddamn bare floor.
You're right.
Didn't we all did.
She wasn't the only one eating pigskins on the bare floor.
I got the pig shit probably.
Yeah.
I remember the time when Pearl woke me up before daylight in the morning. Oh, God, Sam, you're in trouble. Oh, my God, what do I do now? She said, the FBI's already been here looking for you. Oh, God, don't remember what I did. She said, don't remember where I'd been. She said, don't you know what was sitting down in the middle of that kitchen floor this morning? No, I don't. What was sitting there? I thought maybe a body, you know. She said, that goddamn railroad lantern turned switch signal from raccoon. That son of a bitch weighed 60 pounds. I pulled it up off the damn thing, carried it home, and set it on the floor. She said, you get up out here and get rid of that before the FBI comes back. That son of it's still back over the hill in Cobo.
That's what you did with it.
Hell, I ran back over the hill with it. Walk, hell. That's one lie Pearl told me. It worked.
Oh dear.
Yeah, she was a good old soul.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
The best.
Absolutely. I really liked Pearl. And I like Paul too. Funny little
Oh yeah.
fellow that he was, you know.
I was with him at the time, but I was pretty damn young when Blanche Camp lived in that house up there at the crossroads, like over at Margiana's.
Yeah.
And he'd stand there looking at her, and she'd sit right in front of me. PD, I believe she called him. You're the only son of a bitch I ever saw in my life could undress a woman with her eyes. And he was doing that very thing.
Well, you know, he had that side to him.
Yeah, he always wanted to tell these risque little tales.
Yeah, yeah.
Which now, nobody laugh at him. Grandpappy wouldn't even laugh at him, probably.
Well, times have changed.
Oh, haven't they?
What used to be awful is now...
Nothing.
Yeah. You know, Bob Hope said water closet, and they cut him off the air. And that wasn't that damn long ago, like in the 50s.
That's a major effort.
You worked hard, I'm sure.
Oh, you better believe you did, yeah.
Let's go through that again, Sam, please.
With that last part.
Yeah, I had to shut off.
Yeah.
Sam, at this point, wants to say something to Jimmy Moore.
Well, Jim, I wanted to tell you how much I appreciated what you've done and what you offered to do even in the future, because it mean a lot to me, well, after a long time, you know, and I know it wasn't that simple, you know.
No, he
really
put out a great deal of effort.
Yeah,
he did everything he could possibly do.
No, that was very obvious.
Possibly do.
And this, after all, wasn't in his backyard.
No, that's it. And when he tried to call you that last time and didn't get you, you know.
Yeah, that's the time I wished it did.
Yeah. Well, we're giving him this information, and there was nothing more, to my way of thinking, in that town we could have done beyond what we did.
Well, it did. Everything in town changed. But see, it seems maybe I can remember some of these things, but I'm just not sure.
Yeah.
You know, even that kind of a funny intersection, these off, one small road, one big one. It seems that as we was marching on, I kind of remember that, but I'm not sure at the time. Because see, I'd never been there before and was there under adverse conditions.
And it was such a long time ago, and then so...
Well, then a lot of them fellows on them tapes, you didn't play any of them, huh?
No, I haven't played them, nor I haven't copied them. See, I'm making copies for Jimmy. He's going to get them.
You'll find out, you hear a lot of them say, and even the secretary, Flanagan asking them which side of the road they were on as they were being marched back, because the oncoming tanks tried to run over lots of them and shot lots of them. And as a matter of fact, I saw the guy off the tank shoot steel. That's one of the ones I tell about in there, yeah. And different ones, I mean. But they...
When you were in this basement, could you look out? Were there windows?
No, it was down. We
went down steps to get in there.
And we were just all huddled so damn close to keep warm, so damn tired. Yeah.
Well, hell, you hadn't had any sleep.
Hadn't had any sleep, hadn't had anything to eat, was wet, half our damn clothes was gone.
Oh, God.
And the cigarettes was gone. It would have helped to have a cigarette. You know, a smoke without a cigarette, boy, it's like a day without sunshine.
Well, you know, Jimmy Moore has quit smoking. So
I didn't know he smoked. He didn't smoke.
Oh, yes,
to my
he did.
knowledge, last I knew
Oh,
him.
yeah, you don't remember. He
No, I never remember seeing Jim Moore smoke a cigarette.
When he was a kid.
Yeah.
You know, still a kid yet.
Well, you know, we all
in
used
his
to
late
smoke
teens.
We
Well,
all used to smoke behind the barn or someplace where nobody could see you.
well, yeah, he got caught smoking at school.
Well, we used to smoke behind the toilet in Raccoon.
And
Pick up the butts along the road off of them old hunkies.
somebody told me that he got caught smoking. I don't know who it was now. And Jimmy didn't know that I knew. So he came home here and he had this worried look on his face. and went on for quite some little time, and then finally he said to me, "There's something I have to tell you." And I said, "What's that?" And he said, "I got caught smoking at school today." And I said, "Well, you've been quite worried about telling me, haven't you?" He said, "Yes." I said, "I think that's punishment enough. I'm not going to say anything to you. You've already had a bout with your own conscience."
I had to go up to school over one, the girl or both of the girls smoking in school. The only way they could get back in. So I went up and seen the Schwartz, I think was his name, something to that effect. And he said, "I hated to send the girls home, but that's the rules and regulations here at the school." And I said, "I hated for you to do it too, because I hate for my girls to get rewarded for doing something that's wrong." And to me, I said, that's a reward. 3 days off.
Yeah.
They go home and have a damn ball.
True.
Yeah, I mean, well, it really was. That's what was in my board. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to shut this off. Anything else anybody wants to say? You want to say something to Jim and Ingeborg, Shannon?
I
Well,
can't think of anything except I hope I get to meet them someday.
Well, I hope you do too.
I really
They're
do.
terrific people.
Well, I'll say.
There goes the mouse across the floor.
I'll say to Jim, I'll see you, Zane. Maybe.
You can say it to both of them. They speak the
Maybe.
same language.
Maybe,
Off
yeah.
Weeder Zane, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
That we're never sure of.
Yeah, I don't know. We're never sure. Okay.
Especially when you get in the 70s.
Yeah.
And I always say to a lot of people, even Leo, he said, "I'll see you tomorrow." Yeah, I said, "and I hope I can see you back."
I'm at the log house in Pennsylvania, where we used to live and where Sam and Donna now live. This is the area across the road where we at one time had a garden. This is the woods, which is considerably higher than Jimmy Moore remembers it. And right up here someplace is where Tippy and Fritzy are buried. Continue on around toward the little bridge. That's Shannon's car. And the old sheds that were once here are no longer here. On around, snow on the ground as you can see. It's the 2nd day of October, '93. Here's the road where you used to walk up to school, and the bridge. And out toward the little creek where you used to play, Sam's mailbox. And here's the walnut tree in the field where the swing used to be. And across the creek where the big pines used to be, they all died. And there are now little pines coming up there. Sam's mailbox. House from the uphill end, up the road from where you used to go to school. The little outhouse still sits down there in the bank, no longer in use. They now have a bathroom built right on this corner. Now I'll move down to the now to the log part of the house. You see that they've chinked in between these logs. It's in much better shape than it ever was when we had it. And Jimmy, you were right, these are the same posts. However, the floor is now concrete. And the yard, it's still been warm enough here that the yard is nice and green. And this is the tree that we once picked up as a little green stick coming up from Turby's. And it now is this tall. When I get back far enough, I'll show you. If I don't fall on my butt. There's the top of the house. Tree goes on up, on up, on up, on up, on up, on up. Sam flies the flag. It's a 30-foot pole. On down, and here is the garage that he built. It's down at the far side of this lot on the, still on the Robinson Township side. I'll go over and do the Smith Township side in a little bit. Go right on down the road and go right up on to the old bridge, which looks just the same. On the bridge, this is the garage, and Sam and the boys have built this bridge across to the Smith Township side, and have, in the summertime it's all green and there's picnic benches over there, this little park, in that little tree-cornered area that we never did anything with. Raccoon Creek. It's clear now, it's no longer black like it was when we lived here. Here, here's that little park from the other side, from looking down. Used to be nothing but brush and torn up land when we had it. And then you go down, you cross the little bridge here, and there's Sam's garage. This is up on top of where the rabbits used to sit. Tim Donaldson, one of Sam's boys, has a trailer up there. This too is Smith Township. The house from the bridge. Down through the field to the garage. Here are the rocks, the ledge where the rabbits used to sit, and I'm sure they still do. The back of the house, they've enclosed that porch and put a furnace in there, and that's the tank for the furnace. Roof looks better than it did when we had it too. The tree that we carried in was like 2.5 feet tall. Now it's like 40.